is essentially a long-term commitment to a subscription service you didn't realize you signed up for. The monthly fee is roughly $60, and in exchange, you receive several pounds of molded plastic that will eventually live under your sofa. It's a never-ending market because Disney and the toy industry know that parents are the only demographic that make purchasing decisions based entirely on the hope of gaining 15 minutes of silence. I recently bought my daughter an American Girl doll. They are, and I cannot emphasize this enough, so fucking expensive. I spent an embarrassing amount of time orchestrating perfect souvenirs from a recent trip, carefully curated to be meaningful. She ignored like all of them and fell in love with the cardboard box they came in. Children just develop these hyper-specific niches so early. This week, my daughter watched Lady and the Tramp 4 times. Not 3, 4. She's all in on 1950s canine romance, and I'm just the woman who provides the spaghetti. We come by it honestly, though. I built my entire personality around Harry Potter at an age where I should have been developing social skills. And my husband is currently in a lifelong love affair with Star Wars. We aren't just buying toys, we're buying in the hope that our kids will join our specific brand of nerddom. The film kicks off inside the tight, suffocating confines of Andy's bedroom, a domestic ecosystem entirely ruled by a 6-year-old dependent variable who holds the literal power of life, death, and abandonment of his plastic subjects.
You saved the day again, Woody.
You're my favorite deputy.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me.
Come on, let's wrangle up the cattle.
When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed,
Round them up, cowboy.
just remember what your old pal said. Boy, you got a friend in me.
Yeehaw!
Yeah, you got a friend in me.
Hey, cowboy.
Some other folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, big and stronger too,
Come on, Woody.
maybe, but none of them will ever love you the way I do. It's me and you, boy, and as the years go by, a friendship will never die. You gon' see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me.
All right.
Yeah, you got a friend in me.
Score!
You got a friend in me.
Cool.
What do you think?
Oh, this looks great, Mom.
Okay, birthday boy.
We saw that at the store, ask.
We meet Woody, who's a vintage polstering cowboy, who isn't just a toy. He's the primary caregiver running a high-stakes corporate operation. He's the undisputed favorite, meaning his psychological bunker feels totally secure. That is, until the absolute cosmic joke of Andy's birthday party gets moved up a week, leaving the room with zero space to process the upcoming trauma. The second threat of unvetted new arrivals enter the perimeter. Woody's possessive nature gets dialed up to a level of frantic biological psychosis. He orders the entire room to execute an unhinged 24/7 background security scan.
Sergeant, establish a recon post downstairs. Code red. You know what to do.
Yes, sir. All right, men, you heard it. Code red, repeat. We are at Code red. Recon plan Charlie, execute. Let's move, 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 move.
Okay, come on, kids. Everyone in the living room. It's almost time for the presents.
This is how we find out what is in those presents.
Okay, who's hungry? Here come the chips. I've got Cool Ranch and barbecue. Ow! What in the world? Oh, I thought I told him to pick these up.
Shouldn't they be there by now? What's taking them so long?
Hey, these guys are professionals. They're the best. Come on, they're not lying down on the job.
Go on without. Just
A
go.
good soldier never leaves a man behind.
Okay, everybody, come on. Settle down now, kids. Everybody, you sit in a circle. No, Andy, you sit in the middle there.
The Green Army men that he deploys downstairs on a high voltage reconnaissance mission are utilizing a literal baby monitor to transmit the worst case scenarios back up to the nursery. For those of us who have the worst postpartum insomnia, spending hours staring at an inactive baby monitor, this sequence might trigger an immediate flashback for the nervous system.
Shut up. You know, in a couple of days, everything will be just the way it was. They'll see. They'll see. I'm still Andy's favorite toy. Ooh.
Buzz Lightyear to Star Command. Come in.
A massive, mysterious package is placed on the bed, and the structural integrity of Woody's world completely shifts. Woody climbs up to the mattress to assess the damage, and we're introduced to Buzz Lightyear, the sleek, features-heavy upgrade that instantly ruins Woody's pristine objectivity. Buzz isn't just a rival, he's a parasitic, uninvited tenant moving into the room while suffering from an active, profound psychosis. He legitimately believes his plastic wings are real, his flashing LED light is a lethal weapon, and that he's stranded on an alien planet, completely blind to the existential fence separating his delusion from actual reality. Andy immediately begins trading his traditional cowboy aesthetics for space-age linens. Woody is forced to watch his status flatline in real time, staring directly at his own obsolescence while his brain turns into a wet sponge from the sheer psychological torture of being pushed to the margins of his own home. As the date for a family dinner at Pizza Planet approaches, the claustrophobia inside this domestic cage kind of reaches a boiling point. Andy is told he can only bring a single toy along, forcing Woody into a desperate calculation for self-preservation.
Will Andy pick me? Don't count on it! Oh! Yeah! Buzz! Oh, Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear, thank goodness. We've got trouble.
Trouble? Where?
Down there. Just down there. A helpless toy. It's
Driven past the brink by a quiet, rotting resentment that nobody lets you talk about on the playground, Woody tries to use RC to knock Buzz behind the desk to secure his own spot in the car. He tells himself it's just a mild, controlled intervention, but the mechanics of the plan completely hemorrhage.
Buzz! I don't see him in the driveway. I think he bounced into Sid's yard.
Buzz gets violently deflected out the window, tumbling into the pitch-black desolation of the outside bushes. The other toys immediately turn on Woody, shifting from a supportive book club circle into feral accusers.
Oh, Buzz! Just say what I know. Hey, everyone! RC's trying to say something!
What is it, boy? He's saying that this was no accident.
What do you mean?
I mean, Humpty Dumpty was pushed by Woody.
What?
Wait a minute, you don't think I meant to knock Buzz out the window, do you, Potato Head?
That's Mr. Potato Head to you, you backstabbing murderer.
No, it was an accident, guys. Come on. Now, you gotta believe me.
We believe you, Woody. Right, Rex?
Well, no, I don't like confrontations.
Where is your honor, dirtbag? You are an absolute disgrace. You don't deserve to.
Couldn't handle Buzz cutting in on your playtime, could you, Woody? Didn't want to face the fact that Buzz just might be Andy's new favorite toy. So you got rid of him. Well, what if Andy starts playing with me more, Woody, huh? You're gonna knock me out of the window, too?
I don't think we should give him the chance.
There he is, Ben. Drag him.
Let's string him up by his pull string.
I got dibs on his hat.
Would you boys stop it?
Tackle him.
No, wait, I can explain everything.
Hang on, be right down. I've got to get Buzz.
They view him as a tracking predator who just executed a monstrous inversion of his duty of care. Andy enters the room, misses the chaos, grabs Woody instead, and crosses the perimeter into the outside world. The first half wraps up at a desolate mobile gas station, where the soft phase of the psychological siege officially ends, and the descent into the abyss becomes entirely vertical. While the car is refueling, Buzz appears on the sunroof, his nerve endings entirely frayed and his eyes hollow with betrayal. He confronts Woody, and their physical altercation triggers a total containment breach as they tumble out and get left behind in the dirt. They are now completely isolated, white-knuckling an unhinged reality outside of their protective bunker, which screams into the void of the open road, realizing he is trapped with a delusional dependent variable while a Pizza Planet delivery truck pulls up. The only highly unstable escape hatch to get back across the fence before the universe permanently ends. To get inside, Buzz forces them to disguise themselves as literal garbage, a pizza box and a fast food cup. Honestly, a flawless metaphor for what parent burnout feels like by a Thursday afternoon. You are just a hollow piece of branded trash trying not to get stepped on. Once inside, Buzz, still operating under a profound, unhinged space delusion, mistakes a claw machine for a literal starship. They climb into the pit of green, three-eyed squeaky toys who have completely surrendered their cognitive layout to a mechanical crane. It's like a literal cult. The claw decides who will go and who will stay. It's the exact social energy as a mid-tier mommy Facebook group blindly worshipping an online sleep coach.
That's hyperdrive? Hyperactive hyperdrive. And astro turf.
Where is it? I don't see it.
Come on, that's it. Spaceship! All right, Buzz, get ready. And...
The universe explodes.
Okay, Buzz, when I say go, we're gonna jump in the basket. Buzz! No!
Hi, Snail Slime.
This cannot be happening to me.
A stranger from the outside.
Greetings. I am Buzz Lightyear. I come in peace.
Before your space journey, re-energize yourself with a slice of pepperoni. Now boarding at counter 3.
This is an intergalactic emergency. I need to commandeer your vessel to Sector 12. Who's in charge here?
The Claw is our master. Claw chooses who will go and who will stay.
This is ludicrous.
Hey, Bozo, you got a brain in there? Take that!
Oh, no! Sid!
Before Woody can drag Buzz out of the plastic panopticon, Sid, the neighborhood's resident feral adolescent variable, unwittingly fishes them both out. The trap snaps shut, and they are both cross-contaminated into a local black site.
Get down! What's cutting in you, Sheriff? You are the one that decided to climb into this.
The claw. It moves. I have been chosen. Farewell, my friends. I go on to a better place.
Gotcha. A Buzz Lightyear? No way! Yes!
Buzz!
He has been chosen.
Hey, what are you doing? Stop it! Stop it, you zealots!
All right, double prizes! Let's go home and play.
I can see your dwelling from here. You're almost home.
Nirvana is coming. The mystic portal awaits.
Will you be quiet? You guys don't get it, do you? Once we go into Sid's house, we won't be coming out.
Whoa, Scott, hey, boy! Sit. Good boy. Hey, I got something for you,
Freeze.
boy. Ready, set, now! Hannah! Hey, Hannah!
What?
Did I get my package in the mail?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know.
Oh, no, Hannah.
What?
Look, Janie!
Hey!
She's sick!
No, she's
I'll
not!
have to perform one of my operations!
No!
That's Sid's room, not there.
Sid, give her back! Sid! Sid!
Oh, no. We have a sick patient here, nurse. Prepare the OR. Stat! Patient is prepped. No one's ever attempted a double bypass brain transplant before. Now for the tricky part.
They cross the perimeter into Sid's bedroom, and the visual framework immediately degrades into a pitch-black survival horror landscape. Sid's room isn't architecture, it's a domestic torture chamber. We meet the mutant toys, mangled, dissected, casualties of Sid's unchecked destructive impulses. A baby doll head impaled on mechanical spider legs, a pterodactyl's torso sewn onto human legs. They look exactly like the visual manifestation of your pelvic floor after a third-degree tear. While trying to find an escape hatch, Buzz wanders into the hallway and encounters a television screen playing a commercial for himself. The absolute brutal shattering of his prime directive happens in real time.
The world's greatest superhero now, the world's greatest toy! Buzz has it all! Locking wrist communicator!
Calling Buzz Lightyear!
Karate chop action!
Wow!
Pulsating laser light!
Total annihilation!
Multi-phase voice simulator!
Is a secret mission in uncharted space. Is a secret mission in uncharted space.
And best of all, high-pressure space wings!
To infinity and beyond.
Not a flying toy. Get your Buzz Lightyear action figure and save a galaxy near you! Buzz Lightyear!
Available at all Al's Toy Bound outlets in the Tri-County area.
Welcome back to the Point Richmond Bowling Championship.
Out among the stars I sail, way beyond the moon. In my silver ship I sail, a dream that ended too soon. Now I know exactly who I am and what I'm here for.
You are a toy you can't fly.
Fly, why I fly.
To infinity and beyond.
His entire operating system is wiped clean. He tries to launch himself off a stair banister to prove the corporate media wrong. He plummets into the foyer, and his left arm violently snaps off.
It's a secret mission in uncharted space. Let's go.
Really? That is so interesting. Would you like some tea, Mrs. Nesbit?
Buzz!
It's so nice you could join us on such late notice.
Oh, no.
What a lovely hat, Mrs. Nesbit. It goes quite well with your head.
Hannah! Oh, Hannah!
Mom?
Driven past the brink of psychological depletion, Buzz undergoes an entire, total, spectacular mental collapse. Woody ends up finding him wearing an apron, sitting at a tea party with decapitated Barbie dolls. He's calling himself Mrs. Nesbit and raw-dogging a midlife crisis while laughing hysterically.
You're defending the whole galaxy, and suddenly you find yourself sucking down Darjeeling with Marie Antoinette and her little sister.
I think you've had enough tea for today. Let's get you out of here, Buzz.
Don't you get it? You see the hat? I am Mrs. Nesbit.
Snap out of it, Buzz!
I'm sorry. You're right. I am just a little depressed. That's all. I can get through this.
Oh, I'm a sham.
Shh.
Look at
Quiet,
me.
Buzz.
I can't even fly out of a window. But the hat looked good. Tell me the hat looked good. The apron is a bit much.
Out the window, Buzz! You're a genius! Come on, this way!
Years of academy training.
If you've ever sat on the floor at 4 a.m. surrounded by toys, half-built Legos, and covered in spit up, laughing at a blank wall, this scene hits completely different. It's like a high-voltage strike to the nervous system. The next morning, the structural integrity of the narrative completely hemorrhages. Sid tapes a literal explosive rocket to Buzz's back, and he plans to vaporize him in the backyard. Woody is forced to execute a desperate last-minute intervention. He has to realize that to save his toxic space husband, he has to orchestrate a total containment breach of the universe's physics.
All right, listen up. I need Pump Boy here, Ducky here. Legs, you're with Ducky. Roller Bob and I don't move till we get the signal. Clear? Okay, let's move! Wind the frog! Wait for the signal.
He rallies the mutant toys, coordinating a tactical strike in the mud. He breaks the ultimate sacred boundary of their existence. He moves and speaks directly to a human.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Reach for the sky.
Huh?
This town ain't big enough for the two of us.
What?
Somebody's poisoned the water hole.
It's busted.
Who you calling busted, Buster? That's right. I'm talking to you, Sid Phillips. We don't like being blown up, Sid. Or smashed, or ripped apart.
We?
That's right. Your toys.
He spins his head around like a plastic exorcist, stares into Sid's hollow, terrified adolescent eyes, and whispers, "We toys can see everything, so play nice." It's a visceral exhibition of psychological warfare that breaks Sid's mind permanently, turning a neighborhood bully into an institutional flight risk.
What's wrong, Sid? Do we want to play with Sally?
Nice work, fellas. Good job. Coming out of the ground. What a touch. That was a stroke of genius.
Woody.
Thanks.
Everybody say bye, House.
Woody the van!
We gotta run things, guys! Quick!
Just go. I'll catch up.
With Buzz liberated from the rocket, they realize Andy's family minivan is already pulling out of the driveway. What follows is a high-speed vertical drop chase scene with absolutely zero slack left in the system. They try to board the moving van, but Scud, Sid's feral, wide-eyed bull terrier, deploys into the intersection, snapping at their heels, like an unresolved trauma response. Woody tries to use RC, the remote-controlled car, to execute a tactical rescue, but the other toys, still suffering from extreme cognitive bias, mistake Woody's desperation for a tracking predator move and chuck him right off the truck into the asphalt. Just as RC's batteries flatline, leaving them stranded in the middle of the road with zero momentum, Woody gets a frantic spark of genius. He ignites the rockets taped to Buzz's back. They launch into the stratosphere, terrifyingly out of control, before Buzz opens his plastic wing. They aren't flying, they're falling with style, which is the exact technical description of trying to manage a headstrong child while your own sanity is tangled by a single frayed thread.
We missed the truck. We're not aiming for the truck.
They land perfectly in the cardboard box next to Andy in the minivan, back across the existential fence into the curated warmth of normal society. The film wraps up on Christmas morning in the new house. Woody and Buzz are standing side by side, smugly confident that their new domestic bunker is completely secure. Then the baby monitor on the nightstand crackles to life. Rex screams into the microphone. Andy just got a puppy. The cycle of replacement anxiety resets. The new unvetted variable has entered the perimeter. Pixar used 117 Sun Microsystem workstations to build a render farm. In 1995, this was the equivalent of a digital miracle.
We had these great tools in which we could kind of describe this world, which we all believed in and we've lived in, we kind of grew up in, and tell this wonderful story of these toys that everybody knows they come to life. I mean, I knew it growing up, everybody knew it growing up, is that there's life in things.
I remember lots of people saying to me, "Gosh, it looks so real. It looks so real." It's not real. People believe it. That's better.
We get it! We get it!
Each frame could take up to 20 hours to bake. They used Renderman software to focus on shading and lighting. Because the tech couldn't handle hair or skin well yet, which is why Andy kind of looks a bit unsettling, they pivoted to toys. Plastic, wood, and metal were the only surfaces that the computers could use to make look real. We were amazed by the realism then. Now, I'm just amazed Andy's mom managed a white rug with a toddler and a dog. That's the real sci-fi. Disney doesn't just make movies. They make intellectual property anchors. Toy Story was the blueprint for the modern merch-first film. They don't just want you to watch the movie. They want the movie to be the catalyst for a 20-year shopping spree. Disney is the master of we'll stop beating this dead horse when it stops spitting out money. Last week, we talked about the emotional monster in the basement. Today, we're talking about the $40 plastic monsters we voluntarily bring through the front door. We are paying to be haunted by objects we'll eventually step on in the dark.
When we were starting Toy Story, we knew that we would probably be making the first computer animated feature film. When it got animated, it was even more exciting. But nothing prepared us for the step that it took after it got fully rendered. My jaw was on the floor. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I mean, I directed the movie. I knew what was coming up, and I couldn't believe how amazing it looked.
Hey, Buzz! You're flying! This isn't flying. This is falling with style.
The goal of this group has been to do an animated feature from the day I started.
This was the holy grail of computer graphics, to get to the point where you could do the feature film. It was the first feature any of us had any weighty creative control over. We just never thought about that because that would just get too intimidating.
The biggest thing this film does to advance computer animation, I believe, is it tells a story.
The most definitive technical attribute of this film is its status as the first fully computer animated feature, which fundamentally alters its psychological weight.
Ralph Eggleston and his amazing staff designed all the sets in the film. I mean, we're talking about the neighborhood, the street, the trees, the leaves on the trees, the houses.
One of the things we tried to do with this film was to remove it from its computer look. You have so many choices on the computer. It's not the choice. It's what you leave out. In a lot of ways, it's not what you put in because you have a bazillion colors. Do you really want to use every one of them? The thing that the computer does easiest is straight lines, and we have our share of straight lines because this is a film with a lot of architecture. But we tried to soften it by rounding the corners slightly here and there and using a lot of specialized lighting. What we wanted to do was make it believable.
One of the things that makes Toy Story so unique is the collaboration between traditionally trained artists and animators and these amazing computer geniuses.
In computer animation, you get nothing for free. Every object you see on the screen has to be created from scratch. You start with blueprints. We call them model packs. And then that's given to a modeler, and they create the model within the computer.
My ship!
And that's how we created the box that Buzz Lightyear came in.
Blast. This'll take weeks to repair.
For organic shapes like Buzz's face, we get them in the computer a different way.
I'm entering some data from the surface of this clay model. We want to accurately capture the shape of it by sampling points on the surface with this digitizer wand. Once we have enough of these points, we can fit a mathematical surface through the points.
In 1995, digital rendering lacked the capacity for organic textures. There's no dust, no loose hair, no skin flakes. Everything is constructed out of hard, unyielding polygons and perfectly smooth plastics. This creates an eerie, uncanny valley environment that perfectly mirrors the clinical, unforgiving reality of a high-security domestic bunker. The setting looks sterile because it is a world devoid of human warmth, viewed entirely from the margins. The film begins in Andy's bedroom, relying on a clean, familial aesthetic. It features sky blue wallpaper with perfectly manicured white clouds, a literal manifestation of a safe, predictable cage. The lighting is warm overhead and it's non-threatening, lulling Woody into a fraudulent sense of absolute executive security. Once they leave the house, the visual palette completely disintegrates. Pizza Planet is rendered as a neon-drenched, chaotic, megacorp sensory nightmare. The camera work becomes erratic, utilizing disoriented Dutch angles and flashing arcade designed to liquefy your prefrontal cortex and simulate total parental burnout. When they hit Sid's bedroom, the film plunges entirely into a survival horror landscape. The palette shifts to deep grays, charcoal shadows, and harsh, low-key lighting. Tent-like shadow play is used to externalize Woody's internal rot. The mutant toys are framed in jarring close-ups that highlight their mangled, stitched-together anatomy. Without a traditional comforting orchestral blanket during the film's tensest sequence, the sound design relies entirely on naturalistic mechanical discomfort to generate tension. The film magnifies the ambient noise of a child's world until it feels like a physical assault. The high-voltage static hiss of the baby monitor downstairs vibrates in your teeth.
Coming out of doing the short films for John, there was a specific style that the sound took based on the images having weight and 3 dimensions and a reality to them. You see Mr. Potato Head and Woody and these characters walking, and they look real, they look 3-dimensional, so they need realistic sound in a way that traditional animation doesn't. Every character in Toy Story had a unique sound signature because most of them were toys we would recognize. This movie has a combination of sound approaches, some of which are a little more cartoony because the sound effects are funny, but sometimes it's real, it's big, it's heavy, and it's like an action film when it needs to be.
The frantic rhythmic ticking of the desk clock during the birthday sequence mimics a tightening noose. Every piece of Foley work is dialed up to a level of frantic psychosis. The hollow plastic clutter of Woody's boots, the high-pitched whir of RC's electric motor, and the scraping crunch of Scud's teeth snapping in the intersection. The ultimate acoustic horror occurs when Woody orchestrates the backyard uprising. When he turns his head around like a plastic exorcist and addresses Sid directly, all background audio tracks entirely cut out. There's no cinematic score here. Only a dry, terrifying, closed-mic'd, unglamorous vocal threat. It strips away all comforting cinematic polish, forcing the audience to share the spatial claustrophobia and raw acoustic reality of Sid's mental collapse. Structurally, the script is engineered like a clinical study in rapid, vertical escalation, moving linearly from corporate stability to total kinetic chaos. The narrative hinge of the second half relies on the brilliant clinical destruction of Buzz Lightyear's operating system. The Miss Nesbit sequence is a structural masterpiece of dark humor. It forces the delusional dependent variable to manually confront his own absolute commercial insignificance. His psychological collapse perfectly validates the exact moment parental isolation and sleep deprivation turns your brain into soup. The narrative brilliance of the final moving man chase lies in the zero slack execution of physics. The characters are stripped of all institutional protection. Woody trying to operate RC while flying through the air on a literal explosive rocket is the exact technical description of trying to manage a headstrong toddler while your own sanity is hanging by a single frayed thread. It flips the script entirely. They aren't executing a clean, triumphant Hollywood victory. They're falling with style, learning the volatile physics of containing a crisis just long enough to land in a cardboard box before their universe permanently ends. In the theatrical cut we all know, Pixar heavily softened the edges of this scene to preserve Woody's status as a redeemable protagonist. He uses RC Racer to knock Buzz behind the desk, and as a cascade of chaotic accidental physics ultimately sends Buzz tumbling through the window. It frames Woody as a petty schemer whose prank spun wildly out of control. But if we pull back the skin and examine the creative anatomy of this film, the original intent was infinitely more sinister. The Black Friday reel refers to an infamous early work-in-progress cut of Toy Story, presented to Disney executives on November 19th, 1993.
Working on Toy Story was kind of neat because for us, we were trying to figure out how to take something we'd only done in very, very small amounts, short films, TV commercials, and make it 75 minutes long. And, you know, the story was like, wait a minute here, this is a much more difficult thing than I thought.
When we started with Disney, they had people who had had a lot of experience making films, and they had been through it. They knew what to do.
So we looked to them as initially as they're going to school us. They're going to teach us how to work.
Here's like the first year on the film was like, we would board a sequence, and then Tom Schumacher and Peter Schneider would fly up, and they would give us tons of notes on the boards, changes to make, ways to improve it to make it better. And then we would turn around those notes, and then we'd fly down to Disney, pin up our boards, and they'd give us more notes. And we'd even make changes that night, and then like at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. the next morning, very early mornings, we would pitch it to Jeffrey Katzenberg. And then he would rip them all apart.
Jeffrey Katzenberg, who at the time was chairman of the Disney Studios and had great interest in animation, would always be pushing for what he called edge. And the Woody character became wildly unappealing at one point.
Woody?
Now what?
Woody, I'm having a little difficulty. Slink, how hard can it be?
We assembled this it was like maybe first half of the movie on story reels. And then we went down to Disney to screen it.
And I tell you, I sat there and I was pretty much embarrassed with what was on the screen. I had made it. I directed everybody to do this, but it was like, it was a story filled with the most unhappy, mean people.
All right. Save your batteries, people.
Jeffrey said, well, why is this so terrible, to me in the hallway? I said, well, because it's not their movie anymore. It's completely not the movie that John set out to make.
Everything kind of fell apart at that point, you know.
Disney forced us to shut production down. And they wanted us to lay people off, and we refused.
We were getting threats that because it didn't work well, that you would have to go back down. We were all going to have to go down south and reboard.
The thing that was really important for me after that Black Friday screening was to make Woody likable.
It was a real education in just filmmaking for us, that like just because a character has a problem or he's even not a likable person doesn't mean that they have to be an unlikable person on the surface.
Right, because our goal was to make Woody so likable. Then when he started kind of becoming a jerk, it was like, Woody, don't make those choices, instead of, what a jerk. I don't care about this guy.
It's not always bad in this process to have things not work. When you have these crashing things that happen, the rebuilding allows the thing to be so much better.
After this experience, we learned a lot of things. The most important thing we learned was to trust our own instinct and to really make the movies we wanted to make. Okay, now, this is the reel that we showed on Black Friday before we re-envisioned Woody's character. It's, it's bad, It's really bad. It's kind of rough to watch these days. But hey, for history's sake, I think it's important to see, So this takes place right before they go to Pizza Planet. And all of the other toys are placing bets as to see who Andy's going to take, either Woody or Buzz Lightyear.
Woody! I'd just like to wish you luck. I know you'd do the same for me.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Whoa! Oh!
What? What are you, what's everybody looking at? What? Hey, he slipped. I tried to, I couldn't hold that. It was he slipped. Hey, I don't see him. I think he fell onto the street.
He's as good as roadkill. He ain't going to pizza now.
Woody, you deliberately threw Buzz out the window.
Hey, it's a toy world.
Cowboy, where is your honor, dirtbag? You are an absolute disgrace. You don't deserve to wear a 10-gallon hat on your pint-sized head. Men, search and rescue. I want a medevac team on the double. Hustle up. Move it.
Hey, spuds for brains. What do you think you're doing? Off the bed. Hey, off the bed.
You gonna make us, Woody?
No, he is. Slinky! Slinky! Get up here and do your job! Are you deaf? I said take care of them!
I'm sorry, Woody, but I have to agree with them. I don't think what you did was right.
What? Am I hearing correctly? You don't think I was right? Who said your job was to think, Spring Wiener?
Well, I just thought that
use
you...
this vast reserve of brain power to consider this for a moment. If it wasn't for me, Andy wouldn't pay any attention to you at all. In fact, my stretchy friend, you would have been hauled away to Goodwill a long time ago, so shut your mouth and get them off the bed. Do it. Now, Slink, or I'm throwing you off.
You're going to have to throw the two of us off.
Make that 3. Count me in.
No, Woody. You get your butt off the bed.
Yeah, I don't believe this. Are you threatening me?
Yeah. Get off the bed, ranch hand, and we're throwing you off.
Huh. You and what army?
There he is, that dirtbag! Frag him! Move, move, move! Take no prisoners! Go for the kill!
1, 2... Stop! Don't throw him off the bed!
Yeah.
Throw him out the window like he did to Buzz!
In the early iteration of the script and storyboards, the tone of this movie was dramatically darker, and Woody's character design was completely different from the lovable cowboy we know today. Instead of a well-meaning leader facing an identity crisis, Woody was written as a deeply bitter, tyrannical despot who ruled Andy's room with an iron fist. The reel gets its name because the screening was a disaster. Disney executives hated Woody. He was very unlikable and malicious, to the point that they temporarily shut down production until the story could be completely re-engineered. In the theatrical cut, Woody uses the RC car to knock Buzz behind the desk as a petty prank, and an accidental chain reaction knocks Buzz out the window. In the Black Friday reel, Woody's action was completely purposeful. He calculated the threat Buzz posed to his status as top toy, and literally, deliberately throws him out of the second-story window to eliminate his political rival. Woody actively bullied and verbally abused the other toys in the room, treating them like subjects under his rule rather than his friends. After the screening failed, Pixar heavily softened Woody's edges to preserve his status as a redeemable protagonist, framing the window incident as a chaotic accident so the audience could still root for him. In the original narrative framework, Woody doesn't use a remote control car to stage a convoluted accident. He doesn't look for a psychological escape hatch or plausible deniability. He purposefully and deliberately, he just yeets Buzz Lightyear out the window. He just throws that motherfucker. This was not a mistake of physics. It was cold and calculated and just kind of bitchy, in my opinion. Woody watches Buzz interact with the other toys. He calculates the structural damage to his own status in the bedroom, and he just decides to get rid of that bitch. He just wants to fucking assassinate him. And that's just to maintain his cozy, curated dominance over the fucking bedroom. And when you analyze this scene through the darker lens, the psychological seas in the bedroom, it completely changes. Woody's duty of care wasn't dialed into protecting the room. It dialed entirely into self-preservation. The arrival of a sleek space-age interloper strips away his structural integrity. The moment Woody leans into purposeful violence, he transitions from a benevolent leader into a feral bully. He treats the window not as an accidental hazard, but as a literal executioner's choice to dump what he perceives as dead weight into the dark, unyielding wilderness of the front yard. By making his actions deliberate in the original concept, Woody showcases how easily a civil authority figure can pivot to absolute malice when their status is challenged. He trades his sheriff badge for visceral wreckage, completely cutting his tether of slack for a newcomer who didn't even understand the rules of the room. Ultimately, Pixar realized that an audience wouldn't follow a sociopathic cowboy who intentionally drops his rival into a meat grinder of a backyard. They engineered the accident to keep Woody likable, but knowing the original blueprint forces us to realize that under the friendly, stitched-on smile, the capacity for purposeful, calculated malice was baked directly into the toy's plastic core from the very beginning. Today, we're zooming in with surgical clinical precision on a single sequence from Toy Story that acts as the direct high voltage strike to the nervous system of anyone who has ever hit the absolute wall of psychological depletion. I'm talking about the infamous Mrs. Nesbit scene in Hannah's room. If you have ever raw dogged life on an all-nighter after your baby refused to sleep because everyone in the house has a cold, this isn't just a funny bit of plastic slapstick. It is a terrifyingly accurate, unglamorous blueprint of a total cognitive collapse. Let's just peel back the skin on the mechanics of the space-age existential breakdown. Before Buzz ends up at that tiny plastic table, the film executes this brilliant forensic destruction of his entire operating system. After he breaks out into the hallway of Sid's house, Buzz encounters a television commercial for himself. At this point, he still doesn't think he's a toy, but this is the exact moment his cosmic identity is wiped clean. It perfectly validates the precise second that the before-child illusion of absolute control and competence shadows against the reality of the parenting trenches. So this is the moment where before you have a child, you're like, oh, I can do that. And then after you have a child, you're like, oh, fucking shit, nuts, crap. Driven by a desperate delusion need to prove the corporate media wrong, and that he is a fucking astronaut or whatever the fuck, he launches himself off the stair banister. He doesn't fly, obviously, because apparently in this movie toys can talk, but God forbid they fucking fly, whatever the physics are of that. But he drops, he just falls, and his arm falls off. And the severed limb, it isn't just physical damage, it's a visceral exhibition of losing a core part of yourself to this chaotic, uncaring environment. And when Woody finally finds him, Buzz has been dragged into the pink confines of Sid's younger sister bedroom. The visual layout here is psychological horror, but cutesy. I love that kind of vibe. It's all adorable. Buzz is sitting in a miniature chair. He's wearing a floral apron and a pink feather trimmed hat perched on his little helmet. It's so adorable. He's surrounded by all the decapitated Barbies that Sid's little sister has, because someone needs to put Sid on list. Several lists. Just that kid is. I don't know what the fuck's happening there. And so basically, so he's just sitting there vibing with a bunch of fucking Marie Antoinette Barbies. And the scene looks like an exact physical printout of extreme parental isolation. But Buzz is basically sitting there. He's holding his own severed arm. Lovely. And he's pouring phantom tea for all these Barbies with no heads to drink. And so basically, and he's just, Woody calmly approaches him, and he starts screaming with an unhinged, high-pitched laugh. 1 minute, you're defending the whole galaxy, and suddenly you find yourself sucking down Darjeeling with Marie Antoinette and her sister. And again, if you've ever sat on the floor in the middle of the night, covered in spit up, surrounded by burp cloths, and just laughing hysterically at a blank wall because your brain has turned into minestrone, this shit hits way close to home. Buzz isn't just drunk on tea. His nervous system is experiencing a complete containment breach from the deficit of reality. He's just fucking, he's going through it right now. Jennifer Kent, the woman who directed The Babadook, used silent dread to sort of bring us that fuck moment. John Lasseter achieves the same effect through the existential nausea that we feel through Tim Allen's extremely unglamorous vocal performance in that moment. Buzz's deep and authoritative command register, it goes into a cracked, frantic, and completely unpitched vocal register. His voice sounds feral, completely stripped of authority. When Woody tries to snap him out of it by shaking him, Buzz completely folds, sobbing into his plastic apron about his missing wings. The camera stays locked into a tight, disorienting medium shot, trapping Woody's frantic, desperation and Buzz's completely vegetative midlife crisis in the same suffocating frame. There is zero narrative flack here. The scene strips away all comforting cinematic armor, forcing the viewer to confront the raw reality of psychological depletion. The Mrs. Nesbit sequence is a structural masterpiece of dark humor because it proves the most devastating monster in a child's bedroom. It isn't the dog in the intersection or the rocket taped to your back. It's the terrifying realization of what isolation, gaslighting reality, and a total lack of cognitive slack can turn your brain into. And now let's zoom in on the final frantic minutes of Toy Story, specifically the moving van chase scene. If the Mrs. Nesbit sequence was a study in vegetative psychological collapse, the moving van scene is a full-blown, high-velocity kinetic panic attack. It is the exact cinematic representation of what happens when there's absolutely zero fucks left in your system. Your sources have flatlined, and you are forced to light a literal rocket just to avoid total structural erasure. The sequence kicks off with Andy's family minivan pulling out of the driveway, leaving Woody and a half-broken Buzz stranded in the dust. Watching that van drive away is the direct hit to the nervous system of any parent who has tried to get a family out the door on time. The van represents the absolute uncaring momentum of life moving forward while you are left behind, white-knuckling a crisis in the driveway. Just as they try to close the gap and board the moving truck, Scud, Sid's wild, feral bull terrier, deploys into the traffic. Scud isn't just a dog. He is a walking, snapping manifest of an unresolved trauma response. It's that looming external crisis that waits until your hands are completely full to sink its teeth into your heels. Woody is forced to dangle over a moving asphalt void, operating on pure, frantic biological survival mode to keep Buzz from being shredded. Desperate to execute a tactical rescue, Woody reaches into the moving truck's storage box and deploys RC, the remote control car. The toys inside the truck look out the back door, see Woody handling RC, and immediately suffer a massive cognitive bias. I don't fucking blame them. Look at what happened the last time Woody had RC. They don't see a savior. They see a tracking predator who has returned to eliminate the remaining variables. In a fit of righteous, unhinged mob panic, they execute a total inversion of their duty of care, and they chuck Woody off the truck directly into the pavement. It perfectly validates the precise second you feel utterly alienated and judged by the very village that was supposed to help you raise your kid. Woody manages to stabilize, hooks up with the Buzz on RC, and they mount a counteroffensive. They are making ground, the toys realize their mistake, the ramp drops, and then the ultimate catastrophe strikes. RC's battery indicator drops into the red and flatlines. RC slows to a pathetic crawl, leaving them stranded in the middle of a high-speed road with zero momentum. This is like hitting the literal wall of parenting exhaustion at 5 p.m. on a Friday, where your cognitive battery is at 0%, the baby is screaming, and you have absolutely nothing to give. This mechanical failure causes an immediate biological shudder. RC slowing down to a crawl while a massive semi-truck looms behind them is like the exact visual footprint of systemic burnout. You're trapped in a low autonomy, high stress scenario. Your resources are fully spent, and reality is threatening to run you over in real time. With their energy reserves completely depleted, Woody is forced into an unstable high-risk calculation. He pulls out Sid's rocket, which is still taped to Buzz's back, and strikes a match. Because the universe loves a cosmic joke, a passing car blows the match out. Woody breaks down, realizing the final escape hatch has collapsed. But then we get a moment of dark, adaptive brilliance. Woody uses Buzz's plastic space helmet visor as a magnifying glass, focusing the scorching rays of the sun to ignite the fuse. It's a beautiful metaphor for survival, weaponizing the very delusion that ruined your life in the first place just to light a fire under your ass. The rocket ignites, and they don't just accelerate. They launch into the stratosphere completely, terrifyingly out of control. They are traveling at terminal velocity with an explosive device strapped to their spines. This is the apex of the film's structural chaos. It flips the script entirely. They aren't executing a clean, triumphant Hollywood victory. They're clinging to a fucking bomb. At the absolute last second, Buzz pops his plastic wings, severing the tape and letting the rocket detonate harmlessly in the air. As they soar over the traffic, Woody yells, "Buzz, you're flying!" And Buzz calmly corrects him. This isn't flying, it's falling with style. And right there is the ultimate thesis statement of parenthood. You're never actually flying. You are never in complete majestic control of the trajectory. You're just managing a vertical drop, balancing the volatile physics of crisis just long enough to slide through the sunroof and land safely in a cardboard box next to your kid before the entire universe permanently ends. Listen, we aren't Andy anymore. We're the toys. We spend our days crafting a world that feels safe and magical, all while fearing the next birthday party that might render us obsolete. We're all just Woodies, holding onto our hats and hoping we don't get left in the box. When you strip away the pioneering 1995 digital paint job, Toy Story isn't a whimsical buddy comedy. It's a beautiful, malicious engineering marvel designed to stimulate the raw panic of systemic obsolescence. We've dissected the low-angle spatial claustrophobia of the nursery panopticon, the visceral Tea Party manifestation of complete psychological burnout, and the high-velocity kinetic crisis of the moving van sequence. Woody and Buzz aren't just characters. They are two warring halves of parents' hijacked operating system. Woody is the hyper-vigilant gatekeeper running a frantic 24 background security scan to protect a fragile status quo. Buzz is a shell-shocked variable, raw-dogging a massive reality deficit, clinging to an unhinged space delusion just to survive the daily layout. We spend our days trying to build a secure, predictable bunker for our dependents. We plan, we budget our patience, and we execute what we think are controlled interventions. But the physics of the parenting trenches will always laugh at your pristine corporate logic. At some point, your resources will flatline and your batteries will drop into the red while external crises snap at your heels. You'll be forced to light a literal rocket just to avoid being completely wiped out. You are never actually flying. You are just managing a vertical drop, balancing a total disaster just long enough to land safely in a cardboard box. But here's the final cynical sting of the narrative machine. There is no permanent victory. You can survive the move. You can get your life together, defeat the neighborhood bully, and stand smugly confident that the house is secure. And right on cue, the baby monitor on the nightstand will crackle to life. Andy gets a puppy. The same old anxiety starts all over again. And a brand new, completely unvetted monster breaches your domestic ecosystem. The heavy lifting never actually stops. It just changes its anatomy. Next time, we leave the playroom for the high-stakes world of addiction, one of Steve Carell's best performances. Beautiful boy. And that wraps up our clinical autopsy of Andy's room here at the Postpartum Anxiety. I'm your host, Percy, former paramedic, theater nerd, and current full-time survival mode supervisor.